Once upon a time, far away in the ancient China, there was a merchant called King. He lived with his lovely daughter in a wonderful town called Wusen. A great canal surrounded their house. It was a modest house, with many flowers and ancient decorations in the walls. King's daughter was called Mingmei. It meant beauty and intelligence. His father was so proud of her. She was kind, lovely, and gentle to people. And there was one thing she absolutely loved: sculptures. Her father was a merchant in a large market. He sold fish, rice, and silk clothes. He needed to work hard for Mingmei. He wanted a better life for her. Mingmei liked sculpture so much she had many works from her childhood. And still she practiced every day even harder. Every day Mingmei traveled the entire town on her canal boat. She loved to see the different type of blossoms that grew in her porch. She loved to see every sunset at the last part of the canal. There was one boy whose name was Swang. He was selfish and arrogant. He tried and tried to make Mingmei fall in love with him, but that was impossible. She always turned her back on him. One day, his father went on a trip away from town. He had to meet some important merchants near the palace of an unknown family who lived there centuries ago. He was excited about this trip. It was a great opportunity for his job. But he was worried about the idea of leaving Mingmei alone for such a long time. King asked his daughter, "Dear Mingmei, do you want me to bring you something?" Mingmei answered, "Dad, I'll be fine with a pink blossom plucked by your hand. Go calm and have a good trip." King answered, "I'll see you soon, my little beauty." With that, King left Wusen in a calm and safe way, driving his boat by the great canal. He had to meet the merchants and deliver some products to them. He took a journey passing through a marvelous forest of Lunte. This forest was well known by the darkness and the rare form of the trees. In his way back home, when the merchant had finished his business, a sudden storm blew up, and his boat could hardly make a spiral turn. Cold, weary, the merchant had lost all hope of reaching an inn, when he suddenly noticed a bright light shining in the middle of the woods. He saw on the highest mountain an abandoned castle, with few lights turned on. It was his last hope to survive from a cold winter. He had to walk a lot to arrive to the castle, and he was tired. He left his boat in there and started to make his way to the palace. King knocked on the giant door. It looked like it wasn't in use for many years, like no one had gone out. He needed a place to stay and to sleep, so he entered in a huge castle. It seemed empty and lonely, and he didn't find anyone at the principal hall. In the main hall, there was a table with a splendid dinner laid out and served. The merchant lingered, still shouting for the owner of the castle, but no one came. So the starving merchant sat down for a hearty meal. Rice prepared with some vegetables, xiu yolk, shark soup, xiao ming, youtiao, songxi, and shei fan were the main dishes of the dinner that were in front of him. He was starving, so he sat up and ate everything. No one appeared. It seemed like he was alone in the castle, and he felt awkward. He was so tired from the trip, he looked for a room to sleep in. And in the early morning, he would go back home. He found a comfy and soft kotatsu, where he slept deeply and had wonderful dreams. When he woke up next morning, a mug of steaming tea and some fruits such as kavusu, durian, mangosteen, and kumquat were by the side of his bed. The merchant had the breakfast, and after tidying himself up, he went downstairs to thank the generous host. But as on the evening before, there was nobody in the hall. Shaking his head in wonder of what was happening, he went towards the canal that was near the palace where he had left his ship. Then he went into a garden and thought it was winter everywhere else, and here the sun shone, the birds sang, and the flowers bloomed, and the air was soft and sweet. The path had a hedge of blossom on each side, and the merchant thought he had never seen or smelled such beautiful flowers. Suddenly, a large blossom bush caught his eye. Remembering his promise to Mingmei, he bent down to pick a pink blossom. Instantly, out of the blossom garden sprang a horrible beast, two bloodshot eyes gleaming angrily, glaring at him. In a deep, terrifying voice growled, "Ungrateful man, I gave you shelter and you ate at my table and slept in my own bed. But now all the thank I get from is the death of my favorite flowers. I shall put you to death from this light." Trembling in fear, the merchant fell on his knees before Yan Tao, the dragon. Forgive me. Don't kill me, I'll do anything," said the merchant. "The blossom wasn't for me, it was for my daughter, Mingmei. I promised to bring her back a pink blossom for my journey." Then the dragon dropped the tail it had climbed on the unhappy merchant. The dragon beast said, "I shall spare your life, but on one condition, that you'll bring your daughter." The merchant, faced with certain doubt if he did not obey, promised that he would do so. When he reached home in tears, his daughter ran to greet him. After he told her his dreadful adventure, Mingmei put his mind at rest immediately. When the fatal day came, she said goodbye to her father and everything she loved. "Dear father, I'll do anything for you. Don't worry, you'll be able to keep your promise and save your life. Take me to the castle. I'll stay there in your place." The merchant hugged his daughter and told her, "I never did doubt your love for me. For the moment, I can only thank you for saving my life." She mounted the boat together with her father, and it seemed to fly. They soon reached the avenue of orange trees, where magnificent sculptures were holding flaming torches, and when they go nearer to the palace, music sounded softly from the courtyard. She crossed the Lante forest, and far away on the largest mountain there was the great castle. They entered the great door, and then her father led her to the little room where he had stayed, and there they found a splendid fire burning and a delicious supper set on the table. When they arrived, nobody received them. They were alone, just as their home. A significant object appeared from the darkest hole. It was a porcelain teapot with Chinese decorations that said Ling on it. It was such a pretty thing. It was pink, delicate, and such a fine teapot. Mingmei was curious about it, and she touched it. Suddenly, the teapot had turned alive. It was like a magic trick, but it wasn't. Ling was real. He was nice and gentle with Beauty Mingmei. Then many objects appeared. They were happy to have a wonderful person in the dark castle. A compass called Daisy, He was red with blue. Such fine and ancient compass, he was wise and old. Next, a marvelous sculpture appeared and it was called Feng Fang, and his little son was called Jiangu. It was a small sculpture. They turned into Ming Mei's friends. Ming Mei met Yan Tao, the dragon beast. He confused Ming Mei's thoughts. After they finished their meal, they heard the dragon's footsteps approaching, and Ming Mei clung to her father. When the ugly beast appeared, she tried to hide the terror, and she nodded to him politely. This clearly pleased Yao Tan. After looking at her, he said in a voice that might have struck fear into the boldest of hearts, "Good evening, old man. Good evening, Ming Mei."